شي شلت دبيل جلد لقطيته قاني يلدقان وخليه يمطيته ذا جربي تخينه قرب النتخور بي قاني يلدقان وخليه يمطيته ذا جربي تخينه قرب النتخور بي.
Kia ora everyone and welcome to the Voice of Pareja. My name is Luis and join me in the studio today we have Michael.
Hello.
And we have Beth.
Hi.
And Nargis.
Hey.
And Codrian.
Kia ora.
For today is success. So how do we actually define success? Or what does it mean success for you?
Wow. It's a really huge topic.
It is quite huge.
We were having a conversation earlier about whether a university degree is valid in the 21st century and if that is what we need to pave our way into success and future jobs. So what do you guys think? Do you think it's valid and do you think it really helps you get to where you want to be in the future?
That's a really good point.
My personal view is that I think it's extremely valid, but I feel that New Zealand has we have stagnated in the way in which we treat our teachers and our resources. So our quality of education has been stunted, partially due to the economic recession we had way back. I feel that that's a big part of it, and since then we have not really kind of picked up the right attitude to have the right the education success that other countries have done. Like in Europe, for example, in Germany, they support people doing their masters and further qualifications, whereas here you get your undergrad and then you're expected to go out into the real world with a half-assed degree.
I feel like it depends on what you want to do, and especially in the case of New Zealand, right? So you have the job market, and the job market of New Zealand right now, it goes more towards construction because with the construction sector is booming, right? If you have a degree like in political science or public policy, and you have like so many graduates coming out of university, then the job competition is going to be really high, and you are more likely to like do other things rather than, you know, getting a job in your own sector. And then you come to realize that it wasn't worth it to do your degree at university. But if you go to kind of like a tertiary institution like WellTech, like a Victoria, and get skills like a handy skills, then you are more likely to get a job because
they're more practical
because the demand
with
is
what they
there.
do.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah.
I think it's all up to like how you measure success. And if you measure success by the job that you have and the things that you have, then that's a different way of looking at it. But I think being at uni, I think it's just about like getting different perspectives of, getting different perspectives and kind of understanding the world better. So I think if you're wanting shortcuts into like getting to from A to B, then.
But what if you kind of going to university is making an investment, because at the end of your degree, you have a student loan for $25,000, right? If you cannot find a job in your area, then you're gonna be like, I wasted my time, and I wasted my money.
Exactly.
I would suggest that when you're picking your degree, you pick things that you want to learn, but also things that you get a good job at. That's why you're making an investment. When people invest in things, they're taking risks, and a lot of the time people lose out on risks, and that's why not everyone invests. You know, people like to make real mediocre investments and like do accounting or whatever, and they know you're going to get a job.
Yeah.
Some people do English literature, and that's a great risk of getting a good job out of it, you know. And some people do, and they have really awesome lives. But it's a struggle, you know. Life's a struggle, and it's getting harder and harder these days. If you do something you love, and then something that can help you get a good job, then And that's part of like just making wiser investments, which
Yeah.
comes with experience, and which will follow my segment into taking a gap year.
Yeah, I will just add something, Michael, while you're speaking. When the students graduating from high school, they are going to choose a subject in university. Their options here in New Zealand is very wide and it's open. The system is letting you to study 1 year, then you see you change for next year and something like that. So how I can make the right decision, right investment with the time and the money also for this young talent one who we want
Well,
to achieve something.
I think that the government can help in this regard by incentivizing new students to study a subject that the government needs by discounting their subjects. Australia does this in Polytech style subjects, is that they offer subsidized, with quotation marks, essentially free Polytech courses in areas where Australia needs more in the workforce, like civil engineering, for example, and nurses and certain skills like that. I feel that whether you want to do that at the university level or whether you'd rather just do that at Polytech level, if we need more plumbers or builders with the housing crisis.
What about what if that's not what someone's really interested in? If that's not their passion, then what choice do they have then? You know, because I don't think, well, from my experience, I don't think unis do enough to prepare their students. I think, like, I know I went in there because I want to learn more about what it is that I'm passionate about and how I can use those skills in the future. But I don't think they're providing us with enough skills that we need, and like, especially practically. The thing is with Fitareya and Welltech and everything, they're very hands-on with what they do. They really teach their students what it is that they're going to be doing once they leave that institution. We're really, like, especially for politics, international relations, you would know this. It's very theoretical, which is great. You're learning a lot. Mm-hmm. Education is never a bad thing, but then you also need, you know, that part where that would, you know, ensure you're going to get your job in the future.
I guess, like, when we talk about the passion, you know, what your passion is. And what if you go to Fitareya, Welltech, and, you know, learn a skill, but you found that it is not what you like, and then kind of like you are stuck in there. And then if you want to make a change, then you have to, like, invest more money and actually go to university.
I know, like, a lot of people who kind of do both. They don't necessarily go to Fitareya to pick up a skill. They'll just go somewhere else, or they pick it up themselves, and also have their university degree. And their university degree would always be a backup. It would never be something that they actually go and pursue. It would have been their passion, something that they were really interested in, you know, learning more about and getting their degree in. But unfortunately, the chances of them getting a job in it is very low. So they just pick up a skill and they would either open up their own business or go abroad and work on that.
And here I just want to add the point of the Beth that mentioned of the success. So I hear that what we are talking about is going to Polytechnic or university is not really is the measurement for success.
I think if we get fixated on, like, jobs in terms of, like...
Like Beth, if I ask you, like, how do you define success?
How I define success? I think it's kind of like looking at the world in, like, different lenses, and I think that's...
And Louis, I think he'll pay more or something.
Yeah. No, I feel like it depends on how you see success. Because when put it in this way, right? You have a doctor and you meet a person that is a painter, right? Then a doctor is going to be more important because like in the social status, then you will respect more the doctor than a painter.
Is that right?
Because,
is that
like,
what's
people,
right for the world?
Well, no, but it's how people see you. They say, "Oh, you're a doctor. I respect you." But then you say, "Oh, I'm a painter." They're like, "Oh, this guy."
But still,
people still need painters,
we
don't
are talking. I know a lot of doctors that they are not success in their work. So what's the benefit that he studied and become a doctor of medicine, and then he end up he's not a
then
doctor.
we're talking about personal success, like how you define your own success, I guess.
Yeah, because is that the mean that any doctor is more successful than the painter? Because I know some painters, they are billionaires. And how you could compare that to things.
Good point, Claudrian.
but then you have to say like, is the painter happy doing what he's doing?
Yeah.
the
That's the
doctor happy?
thing.
And
That's the
Again,
thing.
it goes back to your measurement of success. If your
yeah.
measurement is to be happy and to be fulfilled
That's
in
the
whatever
thing.
it is you do, while also bringing in income for yourself and your family, then you're successful. I
Yeah.
don't think we should measure it based on like what the generalized view is, based on like what society thinks is based on what is successful. If you're doing your part and serving yourself and serving the people around you, you're successful.
I think it's like survival versus like living like fulfilling life. I think like for our family and like parents, it was all about survival.
Yeah.
That's a very good point to bring in now. The
Yeah.
fact that I think, from my experience at least, immigrant children have a lot more pressure in pursuing a higher education to make their family more happy. Because, there's also that guilt of while they cross the oceans for us and they wanted a better future for their kids, they can't handle us taking risks that,
Yeah.
might not bring in a successful future.
Then that's another
But we
point, yeah,
go
that's right.
back to the same question, right? We go to the point in which like immigrants or like other kind of like forced migrants, they go to another country, right? And for their family, they have to go to university. You are not counting that. What if they want to go to a polytechnic?
Yeah.
What if they want to? Is that successful?
And that's still valid. I think I'm just bringing up the fact that there is a lot more added pressure
Right.
because, that might be what you want to do to pursue something other than tertiary education. But communicating that with your families can be hard because, you never know if that's going to work out in the end.
I think
But university degree
Yeah.
may not work out at the end too. So, I don't know.
I will just add a point because we are talking about immigration stuff like that. People who come, I know people. There is a family who the father was a doctor, and when they arrived here, he need to survive, so he gave up on his job as being a doctor because here he faced regulations to have a new certificate
Yeah.
and stuff like
I know
that
a lot
for
of people
5
like
years.
that, yeah.
So
Teachers even.
So for myself, I see this is another success because the father or the mother, whoever been, that he's giving up his own work or something, and he's trying to be a painter or a cleaner or other jobs, then to survive of the family in the new country, and then later on you see their children become something else in the country. So we can also here measure it as a success for this person. Because he saved the family to new environment, to the new country and things like that.
I think that's just survival. That's what he needs to do. I think if you have a conversation with that person, you'll find that they're not fulfilled because they studied for so long to get what it is that they have now. And coming here,
Yeah.
this country, or like wherever they go, doesn't facilitate the resources you need to get the certificate to be able to work in the education that you got. Therefore, making it invalid and just a waste of
That's
years.
so true. I was gonna bring this point because I know a lot of like PhD friends of mine, and they're doing completely different jobs, and they don't feel like they're successful because they're not working in the field that they have studied a lot, and then for them, there is no success because they're not doing what they're passionate about.
I think in success in general, it's a very subjective term that we've tried to give objective measurements to, so that we try to figure out that there's this universal way of success, especially in this sort of 20th century capitalist model that we live in. Money is often, or the amount of money that you earn out of a particular job is the way to a success. So when we're talking about what sort of jobs we can get after you get out of uni, if that's a measurement of success, but that's
I don't think you would be considered successful if you just have your degree and not working
exactly
that job, right?
Exactly. It's about partly it's about how happy you are, and if you can. I think personally, success is part of having your duty to the state, to your family, having that level of
And to yourself.
and to yourself. Like if you can provide for your family and if you can provide for your community, then that gives you a sense of worth.
Yeah.
And that sense of worth is really powerful. And knowing that you're doing something that you love and that is good for your community and that is not just about the money,
Yeah, sure.
to me, that's success. But I understand that there are other people in this world who view success differently, and that's fine. You know, everyone has their own values. Everyone's got their own.
That's right.
Everyone's got their own experiences. You know, and
Yeah, I agree with you. Like you said at the beginning, we don't define the success in a universal way. Each one of us have a different view of the success.
everyone's got our own God. Everyone's got our own idea of how
Yeah.
things should be. You
I
know.
think my thing is
Should
just
be, yeah.
not to shame anyone's path. Whatever it is they choose to do should be their choice. We shouldn't be comparing someone who's who's gone for higher education and has been successful in that route, and compare them to someone who did not go for higher education, who probably got very limited education in their lifetime, and is working something completely different, whether that means having their own business or whatever. I think everyone is free to choose their own path without. We shouldn't. I don't know. It's just 21st century. We shouldn't be comparing people's choices and thinking one is more of like a higher
More
status,
important than the
more
other.
important,
Yeah.
more prestigious. None of that should matter anymore.
And I guess that's part of why people are so keen on egalitarian models of society, because in society, within a community, there's all these different roles. There's the artist and the doctor. They're both important. You know, it's not like one. You can't compare them. You can't use them in an analogy and say there's this one and then there's this other. You can choose one is successful and one isn't. It's not.
No,
Within
because they're both needed in society.
Within a community, they're all relevant, and it's about what makes a good, safe, happy community. I think that's what success.
I think the most important thing is like while people are investing what they're investing in, like university, that their needs are like recognized and seen, and kind of like the people that are like there to like give them the resources to like reach their needs are held like accountable. So, and that's with like providing information on like how people can like how students can like thrive while studying and not just focus on like passing their papers. So I think that's the most important thing is that we need to recognize where are people's needs, where are the students' needs, and are they met with their needs, or do they have knowledge of like these resources that are like out there?
So that's the question for today. Is a university degree worth it in the 21st century, given the fact that we have like the jobs that we are doing today are way different than the jobs that we had to do in the past. Like we passed through the industrial revolution in which we need a lot of laborers and workers, right? But now with the technological revolution kind of thing, we need like different fields. And then you may say like a university degree may not be useful in the field.
Yeah, I will give my experience in this one. I think the university certificate is worth it on paper only, for my experience, on paper, because I studied politics and international relations, and I'm doing something else as a job. But that's helped me when I arrived here to recognize about my certificate, and they give me the level that's acceptable here as a bachelor degree. So that here is opening me another gate to study master degree. But I understand during my work time in New Zealand that if I go for a master degree or for another degree, it will just, for me, at the moment, it will be a waste of time, not good investment. I'm not saying it's not good to have a master and stuff like that, but only the right decision is not this time for me, because investing on the job, because that's I need this also. I can link it to the survival things in New Zealand instead of going for study, because when I arrived, I have a passion to study. I know I was one of the top students in my university. When I came here, I discovered all the master. Then I found I couldn't offer it, and there's stuff on migration. They don't give me the student loan. So here, I thought if I go for a study, another certificate, it will be bad investment. Because the first one I struggled until I find first work. And this is my case. I am speaking the language and stuff. So I think my skills helped me more than the certificate. So I can say if it's worth or not in 21st century, I can say it will 40% it's worth. Then later when someone, he's graduated or something in 80s, if you had the certificate. That's my experience. I don't know about you guys. What do you think?
I was just going to say, when you guys are choosing to do your political science degree, do you have a career in mind?
You mean career advisor and something like
No,
that?
no, no. Just like when you go off to, when you're choosing your subjects,
Yeah,
like and especially in the arts area,
yeah.
are you thinking, all right, I'm going to do political science so I can be a politician, or
No.
so I can be a journalist?
No.
I think it's a lot
for
harder
my-
for something so broad.
But that's kind of what that was going to be part two of my question is when you finish your degree, because you find it so difficult to get a job, is that because that you're just hoping that the next part will just fall into place,
Fall into place. Yeah.
just naturally, or because
I want to talk in my case what I took my degree and the way that I did. It was just to understand global politics
Yeah.
and to understand the civil war back home, and that's all what I wanted to know. And I did it because I wanted to study politics and understand more about geopolitics and international relations. But I was not looking at like what was next after I finished my degree. Yeah, that was me.
okay, and you guys?
I will just share something also related here. For me, it was a love to study it. I love it. And even I studied in another city. I told my family if they don't accept me in this field of politics, I will not go to study in that city. So that was a passion, love for me. And there was also a lot of plans in my mind when I graduate, which is I still see myself as a success in that field because through that I went some other exchange programs and stuff like that. But the only things is now currently I'm thinking my investment will be not great to apply it in the certificate now. So in the country here, and the New Zealand one is more looking for laborers, looking more people to work instead of encouraging you to get more education. That's the fact in New Zealand.
These academic fields in the arts, when you talk about politics and philosophy and sociology, anthropology, these subjects are great for knowledge and great for, like, I feel not directly but indirectly good for pursuing your future.
Yeah.
When it comes to directly though, because a lot of people do politics and international relations, especially at Vic, it becomes a very high competitive job thing when you come out. And when you come out of university, a lot of businesses don't want 3,000 word essays. They want 500 word reports.
Yeah.
At university, there is a lot of practical subjects. At the business school, the architecture school, at the law school, there's a lot of and the science school as well. There's a lot of practical stuff. It's just the humanities, not very practical. You can be a good academic if you do this. If you do your masters and your PhD in philosophy or media studies, even, then yeah, you would be a good academic. But when it comes to like getting a job, and to be fair, they don't really tell you this. It's something that you kind of have to work out for your own. And once you've worked it out, it's a bit too late because you've already done your degree, haven't you? But yeah, that's probably a key reason why it's so difficult for a lot of people to get out of there to get a job straight after the university in the field they want. Anyway, that's enough for me for now.
I think it's a lot about like self-awareness and being aware of what you can bring into the table. So I think you can study or you want to read all the books, but if you don't have your own kind of perspective and your own kind of way of doing things, then you will just be another employee or like another person in the world. So it's about, like knowing your worth and knowing your value in the job industry, and then kind of like, just being true to yourself.
I guess if you follow the path to go to university and actually do your degree, then there are so many ways in which you can actually also acquire different skills while at university. It's just not a theoretical, but you can join clubs. You can do like extracurricular activities that actually count when you finally do your degree and you are out there to get a job. I did Victoria Plus, and I did VILP as well, and I did different projects. I did volunteer work as well. So it helps me now when I'm trying to, find a job and say like, I've done my degree, but I've done these extra things as well.
Yeah, I think that's right, and that's also Louis, like Michael mentioned it, that there's something university don't tell you when you are going to study this field. So people going to not everyone should be politician, but they should look other ways. It's a broad subject, a lot of things. Could be management, you could be something else, your own business, and blah blah blah, and more other. So guys, I think we will go for a break, and we will come back after the break.
عاشق زارت منم مجنون دیدارت منم بیمارت منم من اومدی مستم کنی از بی کسی خستم کنی اینجوری وابستم کنی تو خوشننی سازم تویی بالای آوازم تویی هرچی که میسازم تویی تو بهترین درمونمی چشم و چراغ خونمی هرچی که من میخونمی تو کل دنیامی دور چشمامی که میخوابی عشق و رویامی فکر فردامی تا ابد پامی کل دنیامی دور چشمامی اون که میخوابی عشق و رویامی فکر فردامی تا ابد پامی عاشق زارت منم مجنون دیدارت منم بیمارت منم من اومدی مستم کنی از بی کسی خستم کنی اینجوری وابستم کنی تو خوشننی سازم تویی بالای آوازم تویی هرچی که میسازم تویی تو بهترین درمونمی چشم و چراغ خونمی هرچی که من میخونمی تو کل دنیامی دور چشمامی که میخوابی عشق و رویامی فکر فردامی تا ابد پامی کل دنیامی دور چشمامی اون که میخوابی عشق و رویامی فکر فردامی تا ابد پامی
Okay, welcome back, guys. We're going to keep talking about success, and we're going to talk about success in different time frames, gender, and ages. Okay, so guys, what are your views on success in different time frames?
Well, I was thinking about like small successes versus large successes, and how some small successes are quite instant, you know, like winning a race, and then some successes are quite large about how, bringing up a family, you know, and some are quite short in time frame and some quite large in time frame. That was just my thoughts about the situation.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a pressure now, especially now there's like social media and all these kind of things. There's definitely pressure in terms of like time frame of success. There are people that are like, you know, buying a house at like 20 something, and then you're like looking at yourself and feeling insecure about like where you are in your life. So time frame in terms of looking at success is very like it's very important nowadays, I'd say.
I think it definitely brings in more pressure because there shouldn't be a time frame of like different people can finish their degrees at different times, find a job at different times, start a family whenever they see fit. there shouldn't be, oh, you should be finished with your degree at 21, have a job at, you know, buy a house by 30, it shouldn't be like that. It should, everyone's time frame is different. There isn't a set time frame in the world.
I think there's biological condition for females if they want to actually start a family, because like when they get 40, this is being like realistic, like they are kind of like unlikely to have a child, but their best kind of like ages or like time to have a child is between 30 and 40. After that, it becomes more difficult for them.
Yeah. What if the thing is like, what if you don't want to have a child?
That's the thing I was
Is
about
that that's
to come
also
into.
that's also an option, you know. Like having child for women isn't always a priority. They may want to at some point, but it's not something that they're gonna like put time on. And like I have to stop my life and have a child at this point.
I don't know who was telling me about this, but the more education that women receive, the less likely they are to have kids. Studies have shown like the population rate has gone way down with the more education in communities where women are, meaning the more they get to focus on their careers and stuff, the more choice they have, the less patriarchal the society is. Still, women have families and women choose to have kids, but there's just been a drastic reduction.
Yeah, I don't think one is more important than the other, because I think being a mom is also a success in itself. Yeah, and you know, a lot of moms are fulfilled and like content in being.
I think it's always about
mom.
choice.
It's all about choice.
Yeah, and you can't like. There's always going to be that thing. If a woman is successful in her job, she's still going to be, you know, reduced and be like, oh, well, she doesn't have a family yet. You know, how successful really is she? If she chooses to settle down and have a family, she's giving up on her career and she's being lazy. She's staying at home. I don't think one is more important. I think there should be more understandings for.
Yeah.
I don't think one is more important than the other. I think people need to lay off women for a minute and let them choose how they, you know, how they see fit to live their lives.
And I also think that the maternal, paternal, and the feminine and the masculine dimensions are changing. It's not just like if you're a guy, you must be masculine and you must go out and get the job. There are lots of stay-at-home dads these days, while the woman can go out and have a career.
That's fine.
Yeah,
It
And
shouldn't be something radical, you know?
And it doesn't mean that like because the woman is going out and having a career that she's taking on masculine roles. No, she's still a feminine character, and the man is still the masculine, even though he's does even though looking after
I don't know,
a
it's
baby.
very strange to me when a man chooses to stay at home and look after the kids. It's like, oh my God, he's doing like such a great thing for his family. He's leaving work for this. But then the narrative and the perspective is very different to when a woman chooses to do the exact same thing. Don't you think?
Well, maybe because biologically or things like that, like man is not have that passion like a mother have, like having with kids and stuff like that. I mean, it is another perspective of.
It is because we come from a society that's been patriarchal, you know, and men is always, you know, it's meant to go to work and just bring the income to the family. And mom, by history, you can look at this historically that women has staying at home. And there's been always, but now we have like seen changes, as Michael said, like now like men are staying at home and like females are going to work.
Yeah, I think it's like, but I think it's also important to recognize that women and men are different. We should be like equality and being equal doesn't mean that we're ever going to be the same. We all have different ways and different.
We have different things to offer.
Different things to offer.
And I'd just like to say that it's really a lot of people like don't think about this much, but a woman who holds the baby in her body for 9 months forms a really special bond that the male doesn't have as much. This doesn't really get talked about as much, but I feel that, I mean, I don't know, obviously, because as a man, you never really have that, but I do feel like that there is it seems to be like there's always that sort of like, and there has been scientific studies showing that the kid is more connected to the mother.
Yeah, I don't think it's I don't think it's important to compare the bond that a mother has with a child and a dad has with a child, I think both can be different in its own way, and I don't think one is like more.
I don't think it's set in stone how it's gonna be.
It's different. So we just need to accept that like it's different bonds. It doesn't have to be like a competition or like comparing.
Like better or worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree with you guys, and that's the fact. It's different. Male is male, female is female, but there's something is not different, which is the opportunity. I mean, the opportunity to be success or opportunity of employment or whatever they want to choose. So the choice could be given for male, could be given also for
But
female.
I think in this society, women are less likely to be chosen because people are immediately going to assume, you know, she's gonna have to lay off work because she's gonna have kids or she's gonna want to start a family. They'd rather choose a man because they would think he's gonna be there full time.
But what if the female can do the job online? Because nowadays we can work at home,
So,
and the female can still be the manager.
yeah.
So she doesn't need to give up her career, or it doesn't mean that she's not going to be picked up because she's a female.
I mean, also there's another thing think should the government or all the people who are responsible for policy and regulations, when a female or a mom is pregnant and she need to give her much time for rest and having to recover and 1 year to recover the baby things, because I see for some countries they're just giving them little time, pushing her too much to get back to the work. And there's also another problem of bringing these childs on the world. They need care, okay, especially at the beginning. They need time from both of the parents, or if one of them is still like someone who should be care of them, even male or female. Because at the stage, if we don't give them that care enough, especially at the beginning, it will get to the stage, these kids, they will think they are alone, and they have come to this world alone, and then they will go to other issues we are aware of, suicide and other issues that's affecting the family and affecting the society. So here, if maybe it's not related to the topic, but this is the thing we are talking about, the male and female, the female power here, about to have a little bit more priority in work, especially in terms when it's getting baby. I mean, the business owners and the government should have a special criteria. Tell them, tell them like, okay, you get the baby, you get this certain month for you to rest and recover, until you get back to the work. And guys, I want to address the questions about the success as we are talking. How do you see, is it personal or is it group success?
I think that goes back to what kind of community you grew up in. Me personally, group success has always been more important because our cultures are less individualistic than those in the West. It's all about serving your community before you serve yourself. And it's not to say one is more right than the other, but I do think it's important to... What do I think it's important to?
Yeah.
Duty to the community?
I think there is a sense of duty to the community. I mean, it's
more
important.
like a service to the community, you know.
I've always thought, like, I do come from an individualistic society. Obviously, in the West, it's more like that. But I do, in recent years, I have felt more of a sense of duty or responsibility to the community and to the state. Partly because of my study, like I studied Confucianism, and within that, it was very much about society first.
Yeah, I think it's like back in the days, I think like humans are like, in order to survive, you have to be like in a pack and like in a community. And I think it can often be pretty toxic nowadays because it's like you have to serve the community, and it's kind of like you care too much about your reputation in the community, and you know, it's just like you're so dependent on, you know, like your community, so it can either make or break you. So that's why I think it's important to have like, you know, just work on yourself before you go out and like try to serve a community, because even if like, so you don't feel so like wanting to be validated by like,
I think serve can like bring in a negative connotation to it, but it's just about helping the people around you, the people that are like you, and helping them achieve the things that you have. If you've reached a level where you can support others around you, why wouldn't you? Because that's going to make not only your society a better place, but the whole world a better place.
That's actually a good point, because then you have to achieve like a certain level in order to be, able to help the others. You cannot help others if you are hungry. If you are hungry, you cannot like give food to someone else. Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, we can say like you guys putting first personal success, later on as a group success, right?
Yeah.
I think this is a gray area where you can help build each other up through the process. It shouldn't be one or the other, where you just choose yourself or you choose to help your community.
Yeah.
You can survive. You can survive. You can make sure you got your basic necessities out. Would I call that success? That I've got my basic human rights down? I don't know if I call that.
It's a
I think it's a bare minimum, to have your basic human rights.
Yeah, it's like, yay, I've got a house. Yay, I've got some food. That's a success, I guess. But it's not my.
It is because some people don't have it.
Yeah, I guess so. But just because other people doesn't have it, does that mean that that's what success is? Having something that other people don't?
And here
something that everyone should have from the beginning.
I think so. To interrupt you, Nargis, here we come to the question is, are we comparing the success because of other people don't have this and this? So that's
a good question.
Yeah.
Well, what's your perspective about that?
Because I believe that capitalism gave us the freedom to move between classes. So the class system still does exist, obviously, with the amount of money that you have. It's just that now with capitalism and being an entrepreneur, the level of success is kind of measured by which social class you are in. Well, I think that's the generally accepted form of it. So what the point that was just made about me being able to gain things that other people don't have, material wise, is a form of success. But then
I don't think that's success. I think we need to dismantle that idea.
Definitely.
That's the capitalism system.
That's what we're forced into.
Definitely, I'm not suggesting that that's how it should be. I'm definitely saying that that's what people perceive it. And in the last couple of years, I think I've become a lot more, I wouldn't say successful, but more developed in my spiritual identity that has, I think, secular society largely ignores, or maybe is a bit more ignorant of, because their parents had bad experiences of Christendom or whatever religion it was.
Definitely.
So I feel like I've become a bit more of a success over those last couple of years because I'm beginning to find my path a lot more in that regard.
Yeah, I think like if you rely on like material things to validate you being successful, then you're gonna reach a place of like unhappiness, because we see people who are like rich and like so-called successful being so miserable. So I think like you need to take other things with you, like once you are done with your like uni, if you're just in search of a job or in search of stability, then that's not gonna be fulfilling on its own.
The material stuff doesn't define if you're successful, because that reminds me what we did this weekend, Michael, that we went to this farm, and these people decided to live a lifestyle which is completely different from the style that we live in a city. And these guys decided to, buy a land and live from the land. Basically, they grow their own veggies, they educate their children in their own ways, and they just don't rely on on the material things that we have.
They compost their own shit.
Exactly. Yeah. So then for them that's successful because they're happy doing what they're doing. But for us it could be not, but they're happy.
And
so I think we just need to be accepting of like people's different ways of living without, calling out someone more successful than the other.
I get reminded of this powerful speech that a philosopher named Alan Watts made, man from from the early 20th century. He was saying that if your goal is to get more money, then that's always going to be it, and it's going to be never ending. There's always more money. You're just going to get more money, get more money, get more money.
When's it going to be enough?
Exactly, and especially if you're always thinking for the future. Tomorrow I have even more money, and tomorrow then I'll be able to make better choices, you know? But it comes back to like being like that sort of Buddhism, you know? It's like, am I happy now, you know? Do I have what I need
And
now?
I think that is the reason that people are falling into like depression or all these mental health problems is because of the pressure of being a certain place at a certain age.
Always feeling like you're behind and not enough.
So as long as this continues, then we're always going to have these like issues.
Yeah, and this is the whole, like, getting into the whole well-being approach that the government is trying to push at the moment. It's trying to get people to like, meditate, to be able to be happy with what they've got, you know, and not try and push themselves to be materialistically superior than others, which is kind of how the neoliberal reforms kind of pushed for us in a way. That's the way I think anyway. And this well-being budget's going to be real difficult to pass through and for it to be a success, but
it's really interesting. Interesting what you have mentioned, guys. But still, there's a question of asking more and more. Like you said, if you ask for more money, that you will not be happy or success. But what if someone is asking less and less? Then here he will be depressed. How we could exactly, like, let's say, to measure the success? For those people who are asking more, or for those people who are asking less, because I know some rich people, they are not happy. They are asking
away your
now.
money, give it to the people.
That's the good solution.
Instead of with the money being sad, like
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah, and people do get caught under the trap. If they get more money, then they'll be able to help people better. It's like not a false way, but like a way to justify them buying into this whole capitalist game. They're like, I'm going to get more money and then I'll be able to donate to my favorite charity or whatever. But I don't think that's
I
a
once
healthy
would,
way.
like, I would see sometimes, obviously, people would hold, like, these billionaires accountable because they'd always be posting about these social issues and telling everyone to donate, when it's like, they could donate so many of their proceeds and they would still be billionaires. I think that's a big issue that we can also go into,
Well,
where it's like,
that's-
when should
When's
people
it-
be able to have that much money while there are people just starving on the streets? And it's not about them being lazy, which is why they're on the streets. Society and the governments are disadvantaging them.
Yeah. I think,
In the World Economic Forum event that's been happening this last weekend, there was this one speech from this guy who was saying that if we taxed 0.5% of the world's, I think 2,000 richest people, if we just did 0.5% of their money a year, then we'd be able to solve like world hunger, basically.
So like I think like this actually posed a question, like, should people be educated on how to give? Because I feel like people are very afraid to give away their money, maybe because of a lack of trust, maybe because like they're not connected to like these disadvantaged people. So I feel like maybe having at school, like teaching people how to give to different charities or like how to help, because like I don't know, just like personally, like I don't know whether I can trust some organizations, or I don't know how I can kind of give with something that's gonna be like productive. So it's kind of like, yeah.
Well, I guess I'm behind this job right now, and the person that's behind this is someone that is super rich, but he actually chooses like who to give the money to. He actually does a social enterprise, you know, and it has to be a person or an entity, NGO, that has to be certain standards, because you cannot give a person that is not accountable, because you don't know if you get your money, which like costs you a lot, and then the person is not accountable and the person not is investing the money well, then why would you give your money? So for this person, he actually has like a standard and a criteria that's really high. And only if you meet the criteria, then you get the funds, which are for free. But then you have to present the project, and you have to meet all the criteria and say, like, I'm going to be investing this money, and next year we are going to be doing more and more, but just for the communities.
Does he support those who are opening the businesses and helping them with the project plans? Because I imagine that a lot of these people in these poorer communities don't know how to do all these things. And so that's one of the reasons why they fail at being accountable. Am I wrong?
Yeah, well, the true. So what this guy is doing is going around different countries, Africa, Asia, Latin America, and trying to find those people that are kind of like have a brilliant idea, but they don't have actually the resources to like start up. So what he's doing, like he's teaching them how to set up a business and how to be strategic. And when they get to the stage that they have a proposal and they have a business which is viable, he actually funds them to start the business. And he supports them until they are kind of like, in their way to be on their own. Yeah.
I will just maybe add a point about teaching people how to give, like Beth mentioned. But you and Louis, you give a good example of how someone is giving and need to meet criteria and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
In my perspective, still this is not the way of giving. These people, why? You know why? I will tell you. Because when they give you something, rich people give to an organization, they put you 10, 20 criterias. You have to reach them all. You have to do this and this.
But
So
that's
here
holding
you're
you,
pushing
that's holding you accountable. Because why would I give you money if you are not accountable?
It's not about accountability here. They're doing you more proposals and tenders and writing and this. So doing you more hard work
Yeah.
to get something.
It's
That
like
is just call
it's
it
like when you're
donations.
asking
What
like
if-
But at the end,
What if they only ask you to have a structure,
I mean-
to have
Yeah.
to have like an NGO that is accountable, an NGO that have actually a president, that has like a treasurer, that have like the financial records. That's not like asking you too much. That's asking you the basics.
Yeah. As all this, but it's the end, the point. Where is the point? He's saying that we are giving to these people. And there's those people who are in that organization, they are doing all these hard works. And at the end, who's getting the price about thanks? Is the one who said, oh, he donated. And the people think he just gave a $1 million. Like we see some people are doing, he just donated $1 million. That easy for this. They don't think that $1 million until it come to the process. There's 100 things, 100 papers to be done until get something like that. So here, this is not really good. Is it like a business also?
Yeah.
We have to think
That's
that
true.
why he's giving that amount of money because of the
But-
government system of like if you get donate, the system that you get cut from tax and stuff like that.
And that's the whole
That-
point
that's
of
so
these
true.
huge philanthropists. That's
So
what
my
they're doing.
point is we have to teach them the honest. Like if I'm giving something, I agree with Louis to have someone accountable, but in certain type and needs and know how, but not make it like that tough to get to something. Like for the youth, if you want to do a project or a small business, they will tell you have to be an organization, you need to register, you need to blah blah blah. Until you become accountable, then if you do this, you will then find your way. I know it's hard working, but you know what the point is about giving, how it should be giving. Should be giving by honest, nicely, or should be giving by doing another business. Because here is a business that's coming.
That's so true.
And that's the thing about giving and money. But it's really good to having, at least for these people, to donate, that the other organizations could employ more people and do things. But hope in this world and that we are going in too many crises, from natural crisis, from human crisis, who's making to this planet, that we get
the billionaires could definitely be doing more. They're
not only
posting about how we can solve climate change when they're riding their private jets, which is kind of really funny.
and they donate from other side. I mean, it's
Which is-
really a bit good, but I think it's responsibility of every human to teach themselves to be more generous in this world, especially in 21st century, because I see that all these crises doing, and humans become more greedy.
Yeah.
Yes.
One example, take it, refugee crisis.
Yeah.
People become more hateful.
Yep, that's it for today, guys. Thank you for tuning in.
Our talk today has gone in so many different avenues.
Yeah. We always say we're going to start off
Yeah.
with one question, but
one topic.
We need, what do we even name this? This is what have we covered? There's too many things.
Yeah, so thank you everyone, and
And
yeah,
see
we
you
will
guys
see
next
and
week.
hope
Yeah.
we will come with a good
Thank
topic,
you.
one topic in the next episode.
we
Thank
promise.
you.
Yeah.
Bye bye.
see ya.
Amada, es imposible borrar de mi memoria, me persigue el recuerdo de tu extraño mirar, esa risa tan tuya, tus labios tentadores que dejaron su encanto prendido en mi ansiedad. En mi alma vagabunda se fundió el alma tuya, como el llano se funde cuando lo besa el sol. Por eso, aunque otros labios me dieron su ternura, ninguno como el tuyo llegó a mi corazón. Fueron los ojos tuyos, tema de mis canciones, fueron los labios tuyos, música en mi cantar, y ahora son tus ojos, mi pena y mis dolores, son esos labios tuyos, mi destino fatal. Dicen que con el tiempo los recuerdos se esfuman, se ahonda en el olvido lo que fue una pasión. Mentira, cuando mueras y bajas a mi tumba, verás que aún por ti arde la llama de mi amor. En mi loca bohemia he amado a otras mujeres con la fe infinita del que quiere olvidar, mas siempre me atormentan tus ojos soñadores y nostálgicamente suspiro al evocar que de reminiscencias hay en los sueños míos, crepúsculos enteros he llorado por ti, que aún están mis ojos del llanto humedecidos, evocando esas horas que aún viven en mí.